Conan Exiles is an online multiplayer survival game set in the lands of Conan the Barbarian. Now, unfortunately, I have no friends to play this amazing game with, so it's just me grinding for hundreds of hours as I attempt a completionist run, with the limits of single player, of course, and this stupid bug here. But, anyways, come along with me as I try to do absolutely everything the Exiled Lands has to offer. Let's find out how far I can get in 100 days in Conan Exiles. So, with nothing but our loincloth on, our adventure begins. Oh, and I also chose to play as a female character because why not? To start things off, I will first try to complete all these goals on the upper right corner, also known as journey steps. So I took my first few steps, investigated the smoke nearby, and searched for supplies to name a few. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is how I'd like to share my story with you guys, but let's see how things go. Now, if I actually wanted to survive in this game, armor would definitely go a long way, and so I first gathered some plant fibers to be able to craft some of the early game clothing available to me, bringing my total armor to 5. There are also levels in this game, which is capped at 60, and with it comes level up points you can invest in any of the 6 attributes of your character. I for one invested my first few points in Vitality to increase my health pool. Further up the road, I was greeted by this giant bat thing, and luckily for us, it looked as terrified as I was and flew away. For the next few tasks under the Survivor Journey step, I had to gather some stones and some branches and with them craft my first tool, a stone pick. Without changing the multipliers in the settings, picking things up like stones and branches would only give you one of each item. And essentially, using tools like this new stone pick that I made would multiply the harvest when gathering resources. And with the newly harvested stones, I then learned how to make stone weapons by going into the Knowledge tab and learning the Warrior Knowledge, enabling me to make a stone club. And finally, after a couple more steps further north, I see a way out of the desert and into the vast world of the Exiled Lands. Now there's a whole bunch more tasks to accomplish before completing the Survivor Journey step, such as crafting and placing a bedroll down, slaying an enemy, crafting and healing myself with rough wraps, harvesting meat from a corpse, and refilling a water skin, all of which show new and revisiting players basically an understanding of how the game generally works and how to survive in the game. Next on the list is to unlock and learn the primitive cook knowledge, allowing me to build and place down a campfire, where I'll be able to cook raw meats I harvested not too long ago. And eating the cooked meat finishes the Survivor Journey step. The next journey step I went to do is the Survival Shelter, which then first required me to learn the Apprentice Mason knowledge. As I'm following the tasks in the background, for the next part of this challenge, I wanted to build myself a starting base. But my creative juice wasn't working during this time of recording, and so I went onto YouTube and saw a build made by Mediocrity Gaming, which I'll be linking up in this corner and down below the description for you guys to see the step-by-step process of building the starter base. But I'll tell you this much though, this starter base build will require you about 1,000 wood and 4,000 stones. So that's what I basically did for the next couple of minutes. And once I had all my resources, I built Mediocrity Gaming's starter base. There's already a guide for that, so I'll save both you and me some time and give credit where it's due by reminding you to watch this video linked in the description below. I will show, however, the tasks I accomplished in this journey step while building the starter base. And once the starter base was built, the next task is to unlock the boxmaker knowledge. This definitely will go a long way into helping organize the different loot and resources I'll obtain, so I made a couple of them early on. I've also put the extra resources I was carrying into the boxes to complete the survival shelter journey step. Next on the to-do list is the warrior journey step, which taught me the basic controls of fighting. So I dodged, kicked, target locked an enemy, and performed the heavy attack to apply Sunder with my stone club. I then crafted the stone pike, and with it learned how to cripple an enemy, quickly finishing that journey step. Now stone tools and weapons are cool and all, but bro, what is that damage? That is why the next journey step I'll do is the Blacksmith, requiring me first to unlock the Blacksmith knowledge. Next was to have access to a furnace which required 250 stones, which I gathered just outside my base. And once that was built, it was time to harvest some iron stones, which appear bluish violet nodes like this one. I'll also be needing some sort of fuel to be able to make iron bars in the smelter, so I chopped a nearby tree for some wood. And with wood, ironstone, and the power of editing, I was able to make an iron bar, bringing me to the second tier of tools and weaponry. And to be able to make those, I'll need to have access to a blacksmith's bench like this one. Next, I had to learn and unlock the iron tools knowledge, and eventually made my first iron tool with 30 iron bars and 5 sticks, the iron pick, finishing the blacksmith journey step. There was still a task to make an iron weapon, but I somehow got it automatically. Weird. Anyways, since I'm technically in the Iron Age already, I didn't want my armory to fall behind, and so I went to learn the Tanner knowledge, unlocking the Tanner journey step. The first task though automatically completes as I already had a stone skinning knife in my inventory. Now before I can actually skin a corpse, I had to make one first, and I honestly thought it would be a great idea to fight these hyenas and skin their corpses. Good thing I fought with these OP daggers, which deals extra bleed damage to creatures over time. I also had to harvest some bark from a tree with my pick to use as fuel for tannery. And for me to actually start getting some leather, I had to make a tannery to get things started. And once again, with hide, bark, and the power of editing, I was able to make leather. And to finish off the tanner journey step, the last task was to craft a tanner's table. This allows players to convert and refine a variety of pelts and hides into other resources needed for armor crafting. And speaking of armor crafting, I went to learn armorer knowledge next, unlocking the armorer journey step. Now, some tasks do repeat for different journey steps, so I'll skip to the major tasks in accomplishing this journey step. And to be able to actually make armor, I'll first have to build an armorer's bench like this one, and then made light padding with 26 hide and 5 twine. Now to craft the full set, I needed to make 4 more. And once more, with the power of editing, I was able to make and equip the complete light armor set, bringing my armor to 111. And completing the armorer journey step. Now, 111 armor is good and all, but I don't really fancy light armor, and so the next journey step I did was the expert armorer journey step. And so, I had to learn the journeyman butcher knowledge and craft an iron skinning knife to get things started, which was already accomplished somehow. Very weird, but I'll take it. Now, for medium armor, I'll be needing medium padding, which requires 11 leathers and 5 twine apiece. Now combine that with more leather and iron bars, and the medium armor set is complete, bringing my total armor now up to 249. Now just backtracking a bit, while I was waiting for the rest of the iron bars to smelt to complete the medium armor set, I temporarily switched to a different journey step as thick hide was currently out of my reach as of the moment. It would require killing and skinning bigger animals like rhinos, elephants, bears, and gorillas, to which I'd feel safer if I were to fight them with someone. And so I shifted to the Thrall Taker journey step by first learning the Thrall Taker knowledge. So the first task at hand was to make the Wheel of Pain. I gathered the materials for it and placed it at the back of my base. Now for me to be able to make thralls, I'd first need to make a truncheon to knock them out with, and some bindings to take said thrall from where I knocked them out to my Wheel of Pain. Now, time to knock someone out.
Taste death.
Let me actually try that again.
Watch out.
There we go. Now time to bring Ulrich to the wheel. Now for the conversion to actually happen, I would first need to acquire some gruel and feed that to Ulrich. And with the power of editing, Ulrich is now my follower.
You picked the wrong fight.
And after killing his first animal together, I then turned to the next task at hand to convert the crafter. Now, if you're new to the game, there's a whole lot of guides out there specifically talking about why I'm here. But in a nutshell, this is one of those locations that guarantees you a named thrall to convert for your own. And I am on a mission to get a specific crafter that would help me get through the expert armorer journey step fairly easily. So I'll skip ahead towards my Hall of Thralls and how many times I actually revisited this location, because telling the whole story would take a lifetime. So on my first run, I got the tier 3 carpenter, totally disregarding a Mitra priest. Not the crafter I was talking about, but sure, why not? And since I got a carpenter, I thought to hit two birds with one stone by switching to the archer journey step, since carpenters work at the carpenter's bench, where one can make bows as well. And this was fairly a fast journey step to accomplish, so I'll breeze through it. Archer journey step done and dusted. Next up, the sharpshooter journey step. So I unlocked the carpenter knowledge and built a carpenter's bench right here. I then assigned my tier 3 carpenter to her proper workstation to complete the Thrall taker journey step. Next, I went to do the steelsmith journey step. And why I didn't go back to finish sharpshooter, you might ask? And to that, I honestly don't know why. Sometimes I just find myself all over the place really. But we're here now. And as I learned how to make the fireball cauldron recipe, I noticed the sky turn a bit orange. And that only signals one thing: sandstorm. And so I went inside to take cover and wait for the storm to pass. And once it had passed, it was back to work I went, placing a fireball cauldron across the carpenter's bench, acquiring tar from the tannery, and mining brimstone at Sinner's Refuge. At the end of my second visit, I got another Mitra priest, which I ended up taking this time to my forward base of operations just outside Sinner's Refuge, to save me some time from going back and forth my base and the dungeon. On my third run, I got a named performer. My fourth run gave me the same performer, so I ended up killing that one. I then went back home to craft some steel fire for the journey step, and then smelted my first steel bar. I ran into another wall with a journey step as I needed to be level 30 to unlock steel tools, and so I ended up upgrading to an iron mace from a stone club to make me feel good about my run so far. I've also decided to switch back to the sharpshooter journey step. And so I crafted a good bow, shot an enemy in the leg, and shot an enemy in the head to finally complete the sharpshooter journey step. I went to do Alchemist journey step next, as this one seemed easy enough to do. So I first accessed my fireball cauldron, built an alchemist bench right here, and harvested some aloe leaves to complete that journey step. I went back to Sinner's Refuge later that day, but my fifth run still gave me Barnes of Asura, so I killed him yet again. And my sixth run gave me a tier 4 Taskmaster. Still not the one I'm looking for, but I guess it's a nice addition to the list of thralls. The dungeon didn't reset anymore, but I did find a tier 2 armorer that I got to knock out during my 5th visit. And I was actually getting tired of running the same routine all over again, so this will have to do for now. As much as I wanted a tier 4 armorer, RNG just wasn't by my side for now. I returned the 7th time and got the tier 4 Mitra Priest this time around. I also found this tier 3 armorer. Again, not a tier 4, but this will do for now. Alright, enough with the Thrall grind, and back to actually accomplishing something that isn't RNG based. And so I unlocked Stable Master next, unlocking the Outrider journey step. So then I made a horse stable right outside my base to kick things off. I then had to travel far towards the jungle to capture my first foal. On my way back though, I passed by Scoundrel's Gateway in search of the hyena armor. But eventually though, I did make it home and was able to rear the horse at the stable. I also managed to make myself and equip the full hyena armor, bringing my total armor now to 357, preparing me of the many adventures that have yet to come. If you've made it this far, this is only a teaser of what's to follow. I've been really busy in real life and have not had the extra time for my hobby, and making these types of videos take a lot of time. So I'd really appreciate it if you could give the video a like if you enjoyed it at the very least, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel to support my hobby. Anyways, that's it for me for today. I'm Imatiro, and I'll see you guys on the next video.